I was reviewing security footage when I saw my father's car. May 2024. Downtown Portland, my office building parking garage. The property manager had asked me to look at footage from a fender bender 2 weeks ago. I'm Emily Harrison. I'm an estate attorney. I deal with dead people's belongings for a living. And I was watching footage from April 15th when I saw it, a silver Toyota Camry, 2008 model, license plate I'd memorized 15 years ago. My father's car parked in the visitor section, just sitting there for 3 hours. My father died 2 months ago, March 2024, heart attack, 62 years old. We hadn't spoken in 15 years. P.O.s. If stories about the parents who loved you from a distance, the ones who stayed away but never stopped watching, if those stories break your heart the way they break mine, subscribe to this channel. We tell the stories that nobody sees until it's too late. Now let me tell you about my father and about what I found in that parking garage footage. His name was Robert Harrison. Everyone called him Bob. He was my dad until I was 20. Then he was just the man I used to know. We didn't have a fight. There was no big blowout, no dramatic falling out. He just left. When I was 20, junior year of college, he and my mom divorced. Dad moved to a different part of Portland, got a small apartment, started a new life, and slowly we stopped talking. At first it was normal. He'd call once a week. We'd have stilted conversations. How's school? Fine. How's work? Good. You need anything? No, I'm good. Okay. Love you, sweetheart. You too, Dad. Then, once a week became once a month. Once a month became holidays only. Holidays became nothing. By the time I was 25, we'd gone a full year without speaking. By 30, it had been 10 years. I told myself I didn't care. He was the one who left. He was the one who didn't try harder. If he wanted a relationship, he knew where to find me, but he never did. Never called, never texted, never showed up. So I moved on, built my career, got married, had a son, created a life that didn't include him. When Mom called in March to tell me Dad had died, my first reaction wasn't sadness. It was relief. Relief that I didn't have to wonder anymore if we'd ever reconcile. Relief that the uncomfortable possibility of running into him somewhere was gone. Relief, not grief. What does that say about me? I went to the funeral. Small service, maybe 20 people. Coworkers, a few neighbors, Mom, me. No eulogy, no stories, just a pastor who clearly didn't know Dad reading generic platitudes about a life well lived. I stood in the back, didn't cry, didn't feel much of anything. Just after the service, Mom asked if I'd handle Dad's estate. I can't do it, Emily. It's too hard. And you're a lawyer. You know how this works. I agreed, not because I wanted to, because it was easier than explaining why I didn't want to deal with the belongings of a man I'd stopped knowing 15 years ago. Dad's apartment was in Southeast Portland. Studio. Small, clean, sparse. No photos on the walls, no personal items, just furniture and basics. It felt like a hotel room, like he'd been living temporarily, waiting for something. I started packing his things, clothes, kitchen items, books, found his car keys. The Camry was parked outside, same car he'd had for 16 years. I drove it to a donation center, planned to get rid of it. Didn't need it, didn't want the reminder. But when I got there, I couldn't do it, couldn't hand over the keys. So I drove it back to my office, parked it in the garage, told myself I'd deal with it later. That was 2 weeks ago. And now I was watching security footage from April, routine review for a parking incident. And there was Dad's car, April 15th, visitor parking, level 2. I froze the frame, zoomed in, definitely his car, same license plate. But why was he here? My office building, downtown Portland, miles from his apartment. I scrubbed backward through the footage, found when the car arrived. 8:47 a.m., a Tuesday. The driver's door opened. Dad got out, walked to the parking garage entrance, stood there, looking at the building. Then he got back in his car, sat there. For 3 hours, At 11:52 a.m., I saw myself walking out of the building, heading to lunch. I watched myself on the footage, oblivious, on my phone, walking right past Dad's car. He was maybe 50 feet away, just sitting there, watching me. I came back at 12:43 p.m., walked past him again, still didn't notice. At 1:15 p.m., his car left. I sat back, staring at the screen. Why was Dad in my parking garage? Why was he watching me? I checked the footage from other days, scrolled through April. April 14th, Dad's car, same spot, 8:51 a.m. to 1:22 p.m. April 13th, same. April 12th, same. Every single day, for as far back as the footage went, which was 30 days, rolling footage. Older stuff got deleted. 30 days in a row. Dad parking in my garage, sitting there watching. I called the property manager. Hey, quick question. How long do you keep security footage? 30 days, then it auto deletes. Why? Can you check if there's any way to access older footage, like archived somewhere? Let me check. He called back an hour later. You're in luck. We switched security companies in January. The old company kept archived footage for a year. I can request access. What dates do you need? All of it. Every day for the past year. 3 days later, I had it. 12 months of parking garage footage. I started watching March 2024, the month Dad died. March 17th, Dad's car, 8:44 a.m. to 1:09 p.m. March 16th, same. March 15th, same. Every day. Until March 3rd, the day before he died. March 3rd, his car arrived at 8:39 a.m. I watched him get out. He looked tired, thin. He'd lost weight. I hadn't noticed because I hadn't seen him in 15 years. He walked to the garage entrance, looked at the building, then back to his car. He opened the trunk, pulled out a notebook, sat in the driver's seat, wrote something, then just sat there, watching. I fast-forwarded. He left at 1:31 p.m. The next day, March 4th, he died. Heart attack, at home, alone. I kept watching the footage, going backward. February 2024. Every day. January 2024. Every day. December 2023. Every day. I went back to the beginning of the archived footage. April 2023. Every single day. Dad's car. Same spot for hours. 12 months of footage. Approximately 250 weekdays. Dad had been parking in my garage, watching me for at least a year. Probably longer. The footage only went back 12 months, but I was guessing this had been going on much longer than that. I sat in my office, staring at the screen. My father, the man who I thought had abandoned me, had checked out of my life, had chosen not to be part of it. He'd been here every single day, watching me from his car. Why? I went back to his apartment, let myself in with the key the landlord had given me. Started searching more carefully, looking for answers. In his bedroom closet, behind his clothes, a cardboard box. I opened it, notebooks, dozens of them, spiral bound, dated. I grabbed the most recent one, March 2024, opened the last entry, March 3rd, 2024. Day 5478. Emily came out at 12:07 today. Later than usual, she was on her phone. Looked stressed, maybe a difficult client. She's wearing the necklace I gave her for her 16th birthday, the little silver heart. She probably doesn't remember. It was from me, but she kept it. That's something. I wanted to roll down the window, call her name, just say hi, but I can't. We made an agreement. I have to respect it. She looked healthy. That's all that matters. Tomorrow, same time, same spot. Day 5478. I did the math. 5,478 days is 15 years. 15 years. Every weekday, Dad had been parking in my garage, watching me. I touched the necklace around my neck, the silver heart. I'd worn it for 20 years. Thought I'd bought it myself at a thrift store in college. But Dad had given it to me for my 16th birthday, and I'd forgotten. I flipped backward through the notebook. February 28th, 2024. Day 5475. Emily brought Jake to work today. My grandson. He's 7 now. He looks like Emily did at that age. Same curly hair, same bright eyes. They walked right past my car. Jake was talking about school, science project, solar system. I wanted to get out, introduce myself. Hi, Jake, I'm your grandfather. But I can't. Emily made her choice. I have to respect it. Seeing him was enough. Knowing he exists, that's enough. January 15th, 2024. Day 5441. Snowing today. Emily looked cold. She didn't wear a coat, just a suit jacket. She's always done that. Hated heavy coats. Said they made her feel trapped. I wanted to bring her coffee, hot chocolate, something to warm her up. But I can't approach, that's the rule. She made it inside safely. That's what matters. She's so much like her mother, stubborn, independent, beautiful. I kept reading, going back months, years. Every entry, the same observations about my day, my clothes, my mood, my son, and always ending with, I can't approach, that's the agreement. What agreement? I grabbed an earlier notebook, 2018, June 12, 2018, day 3287. Emily got married today. I wasn't invited. I didn't expect to be. I sat in the parking lot of the venue, watched guests arrive, watched her get out of the car. She looked beautiful, the most beautiful bride I've ever seen. Michael seems like a good man. He looked at her the way I used to look at her mother, like she was everything. He'll be good to her, better than I was able to be after the divorce. I left before the ceremony started, didn't want to risk her seeing me. But I was there, even if she didn't know it. I wanted to walk her down the aisle, that's what fathers do, but I gave up that right when I respected her boundaries. She doesn't need me anymore, she has Michael now. But I was there, in the parking lot, crying in my car, wishing things were different. April 3rd, 2016. Day 2517. Emily made partner today. I saw the announcement online. Youngest partner in her firm's history. I wanted to call, congratulate her, tell her I'm so proud. But I can't. We have an agreement. I respect her boundaries. I parked outside her office, watched her celebrate with colleagues. They went to a restaurant. She smiled, laughed, looked genuinely happy. She doesn't need me. She's thriving without me. That's what I wanted, even if it hurts more than I can describe. My little girl. A partner. A success. And I can't even tell her I'm proud. I found the first notebook, January 2009. January 5th, 2009, day 1. This is the first day. Emily and I had the conversation. She said she doesn't want me in her life anymore, that the divorce was too painful, that seeing me reminds her of what our family used to be, of what we lost. She said she needs space, time, maybe someday we can reconnect, but not now. I told her I understand, that I'll respect her wishes, that I'll give her all the time she needs. But I can't just disappear, can't stop being her father. So I'm doing this. I'll watch from a distance, make sure she's okay. That's all a father can do when his daughter doesn't want him anymore. Today, I parked outside her college dorm, watched her walk to class. She looked okay, healthy, that's enough. Tomorrow, I'll come back, and the day after, and the day after that, until she's ready, or until I die, whichever comes first. She doesn't want a father in her life, but I can still be a father, just from a distance. She'll always be my little girl, even if she doesn't want to be. I closed the notebook. 15 years. 5,478 days. Dad had been watching me every single weekday for 15 years. While I thought he didn't care, while I built my resentment, while I told myself he'd abandoned his little girl, he was sitting in a parking garage, recording my life in notebooks, making sure his daughter was okay, because I told him to stay away, and he'd respected that, but he'd also never stopped being my father. I grabbed my phone, called my mom. Mom, I need to ask you something about Dad, about the divorce. Okay, What do you want to know? When Dad and I stopped talking back in 2009, did I did I tell him I didn't want him in my life? She was quiet. Then, Emily, you were 20. You were angry. The divorce was hard on you. You and your father were so close, and when we split up, it broke something in you. That's not what I asked. Did I tell him to stay away? You told him you needed space, that you couldn't handle seeing him right now, that maybe someday you'd be ready to talk, but not yet. That every time you saw him, it reminded you of when we were a family, and it hurt too much. And he just accepted that. He respected your boundaries. He didn't want to push you away further, so he gave you space. He called me every week, asked about you. If you'd mentioned him, if you seemed ready. I kept telling him you needed more time. For 15 years, you never called Emily, never reached out. He was waiting for you to be ready, waiting for his little girl to come back to him. I thought he didn't care. I thought he'd moved on, started a new life without me. He called me every single week for 15 years, every Sunday at 7 p.m., like clockwork. How's Emily? Is she okay? Does she need anything? Has she mentioned me? I tell him you were fine, that you were busy with school, work, life, that you'd moved on. Her voice cracked. Emily, I lied to him. I told him you were happier without him in your life, that reaching out would just reopen wounds. I thought I was protecting you, but I was protecting myself, because if you reconciled with your father, I'd have to share you. And after the divorce, you were all I had. Mom, I convinced him that you didn't need him, that he should let you go. And he believed me, because he loved you too much to risk hurting you by forcing contact you didn't want. I couldn't breathe. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Your father wanted to be in your life, desperately, but I convinced him you were better off without him, and he believed me, because all he ever wanted was for you to be happy, even if it meant he had to suffer. I hung up, sat in Dad's empty apartment. 15 years, 15 years I'd spent thinking my father had abandoned his little girl. 15 years he'd spent sitting in a car, watching me, documenting my life, making sure his daughter was okay. Because I'd asked for space when I was 20 and angry and hurting, and he'd given it to me, all of it. Every bit of space I'd asked for, even though it destroyed him. I went back to the notebooks, read every entry, all 15 years. Day 234. Emily graduated college today. I sat in the back of the auditorium. She didn't see me. When they called her name, I stood up and clapped. Nobody knew I was her father, but I was there. I saw my little girl graduate. Day 891. Emily started her first real job, law firm, downtown. I followed her on her first day, watched her walk in nervous, walk out confident. She's going to be incredible. Day 1653. Emily's birthday, 27 today. I bought her a present. Yellow roses, her favorite since she was 5. Left them on her doorstep. Didn't sign the card. Just happy birthday. She probably threw them away. But I had to do something. Day 2844. Jake was born today. My grandson. I sat in the hospital parking lot all night, waited for Emily to come outside. She did. 4 a.m. Michael pushing her in a wheelchair. She was holding a tiny bundle. Jake. I wanted to go inside, hold my grandson, tell Emily she'll be an amazing mother, just like she is an amazing daughter. But I can't. That's not my place anymore. I took pictures from the car of her holding Jake, of her smiling, of her being a mother. I have thousands of photos. None of them know I'm taking them. Day 4102, Jake started kindergarten. Emily dropped him off. First day she took photos. He waved at her through the classroom window. She cried, just a little, wiped her eyes quickly, like she didn't want anyone to see. I wanted to be there, stand next to her, put my arm around her, tell her it's okay to cry. That first days are hard for parents too. But I was across the street, in my car, watching through binoculars. That's what I am now. The watcher, the father in the shadows. Day 5199. Saw Emily and Michael in the parking lot today. They were arguing, not yelling, just tense. Body language said everything. Marriage problems, maybe. Every marriage has them. Mine certainly did. I wanted to help, give advice, tell her it gets better, tell her to fight for it. But I can't. I'm not part of her life. I'm just the man who watches from a distance. Day 5384. Emily looked sad today. Really sad. Shoulders slumped, face drawn. Something's wrong. I wanted to call, just check on her. Sweetheart, are you okay? Do you need your dad? But 15 years of silence is too long. She wouldn't answer, or worse, she would. And she'd tell me to stop, to leave her alone, to respect her boundaries. So I just watch and hope tomorrow she smiles. Every day, the same pattern, observation, longing, distance. For 15 years, my father had been the most present, absent person in my life. I found something else in the box, a letter, sealed, addressed to me. To Emily, open when I'm gone. My hands shook as I opened it. Emily, if you're reading this, I'm gone. And you found the notebooks. I'm sorry. I know this probably seems crazy, obsessive, maybe even creepy, but I need you to understand something. When you were 20, you asked me for space. You said seeing me hurt too much, that the divorce had broken something between us, that you needed time. I gave you time. I gave you space. I gave you everything you asked for, but I couldn't stop being your father. You were my little girl. You still are. You'll always be my little girl. So I did the only thing I could. I watched from a distance, made sure you were okay, that you were safe, that you were happy. I was at your college graduation in the back row. You didn't see me. I was at your first job across the street, watching you walk in. I was at your wedding in the parking lot, crying. I was at the hospital when Jake was born, waiting outside. I've been at every milestone, every important moment, just from a distance. You probably think I abandoned you, that I chose to leave your life. But I didn't leave. I just stepped back into the shadows where you couldn't see me. Because that's what you needed, a father who respected your boundaries, who gave you the space you asked for, even if it meant I had to love you from a parking lot. I don't regret it, any of it. Every day sitting in that car was worth it, because I got to see you grow. I got to watch you become an incredible woman, an amazing mother, a successful lawyer. You didn't need me there. You needed me gone, and I loved you enough to give you that. I'm sorry I couldn't be the father you needed me to be, the one who was present, involved, part of your daily life. But I was there, always, just out of sight. I hope someday you can forgive me for whatever I did that made you need that space, for the divorce, for not fighting harder to stay in your life. But mostly, I hope you know, I never stopped being your dad, never stopped loving you, never stopped watching over you. You were the best thing I ever did, the greatest joy of my life. And even though you didn't want me in it, I'm grateful I got to be your father, even from a distance. I love you, sweetheart, my little girl. Always have, always will. Even from the parking lot. Dad! I collapsed on his floor, held his letter to my chest, and sobbed. Because my father had loved me from a car for 15 years, while I thought he didn't care. And now he was gone. And I couldn't tell him I'm sorry. Couldn't tell him I didn't mean it. Couldn't tell him I wanted my dad back. I'd lost him twice. Once when I was 20, and again when he died, and both times were my fault. I called Dad's workplace the next morning, Thompson and Associates, accounting firm. Dad had worked there for 30 years. Hi, this is Emily Harrison, Robert Harrison's daughter. I'm handling his estate. Can I speak to someone who worked with him? The receptionist paused. Oh, Emily. Yes, let me get Margaret. She was Bob's manager. 2 minutes later, Emily, this is Margaret Chen. I'm so sorry about your father. He was one of our best. Thank you. I'm settling his affairs. I was hoping to pick up any personal items from his desk. Of course, can you come by today? I went that afternoon. The office was in a bland corporate building. Fluorescent lights, beige cubicles, the kind of place you forget the moment you leave. Margaret met me at reception, 60-something, kind eyes. She hugged me. Your father talked about you all the time. That surprised me. He did? Oh, yes. He was so proud of you. My daughter, the lawyer. He'd show us articles you were quoted in, announcements, when you made partner. He kept a folder. Would you like to see it? She led me to Dad's desk. Small cubicle, neat, organized. On the wall, printouts. Articles from legal journals where I'd been quoted, the firm announcement when I made partner, a photo of me from LinkedIn. I touched the photo. It was from 3 years ago. I'd updated my profile picture and Dad had printed it, hung it where he could see it every day. He never missed a day of work, Margaret said. 30 years, never late, never called in sick. Most reliable person I've ever worked with. Did he ever take vacation? No. He had weeks accumulated. We kept telling him to use them. He'd just say, I have plans. I'll use them eventually. But he never did. Plans? Watching me from a parking garage was his plan. Did he ever mention me, like recently? Margaret's face shifted. Sad. Emily, can I be honest with you? Please. Your father was lonely. Deeply lonely. He'd eat lunch alone. Every day. At his desk. Never joined us for happy hours or team dinners. When we'd ask why, he'd say he had commitments. Things to do after work. What kind of commitments? I assumed he had a girlfriend, someone he didn't want to talk about, but after he died, I realized there was no one, no emergency contact, except your mother, no friends at the funeral, just us from work. She pulled out a drawer. He kept this locked, but after he passed, we had to inventory his desk. I found it. A photo album, small, well-worn. She handed it to me. I opened it. Pictures. Hundreds of them. All of me. Me walking out of my office building. Me getting coffee. Me talking on my phone. Me with Jake. Photos spanning years, different outfits, different seasons, different cars, all taken from a distance, through a zoom lens, from across the street or from a parking garage. My father had been photographing my life, documenting it, creating an album of moments I didn't know he was witnessing. He'd look at these during lunch, Margaret said quietly. Just flip through, smile, then put them away. I didn't understand until I saw the funeral. You were there, but you stood in the back. Didn't cry, didn't speak, and I realized you didn't know him, not anymore. I couldn't speak. Your father loved you more than anything. He'd work through lunch so he could leave early, said he had appointments. We thought doctor visits, but now I wonder if those appointments were just watching you. Did he ever say why we weren't close? Once we were at a Christmas party. He'd had a few drinks, got emotional, said, I lost my daughter 15 years ago, not to death, to distance. And it's the worst kind of loss because she's out there, living, thriving, and I can see her, but I can't touch her, can't talk to her, can't be her dad. My vision blurred. I asked him why. He said, because I respect her boundaries, even when it kills me. Margaret handed me a box. These are his personal items, the album, some files, and this, a camera, professional, expensive, with a telephoto lens. He kept this in his car. I think this is how he took those photos. I took the box, thanked Margaret, walked to my car, sat in the driver's seat, opened the camera, turned it on, went to the photo gallery. Thousands of photos, time-stamped, dated, organized by year. I scrolled through them. April 12th, 2024, 12:14 p.m., me walking to lunch, smiling at something on my phone. March 3rd, 2024, 12:07 p.m., me leaving work. Last photo he ever took the day before he died. February 14th, 2024, 11:47 a.m., me and Jake, Valentine's Day. I'd brought him to work because school was closed. We were holding hands, walking to get lunch. Dad had captured that, a moment between me and my son, a moment he'd never be part of. December 25th, 2023, 9:15 a.m., my house, Christmas morning, through the window, me and Jake and Michael opening presents. Dad had been outside our house, on Christmas, watching through the window while we celebrated inside without him. I scrolled back further, years and years. June 12th, 2018, my wedding day, me in my dress, getting out of the car, smiling, beautiful. Dad had taken this from across the parking lot, zoomed in, captured the moment his daughter got married, and he wasn't invited. November 8th, 2015. Jake's birth, hospital parking lot, me being wheeled out in a wheelchair, holding a tiny bundle. Michael beside me. Dad had been there in the parking lot, watching me become a mother. Alone, May 15th, 2013. Me at a coffee shop, studying for the bar exam, stressed, hair pulled back, tired. Dad had photographed me studying, watched over me from across the street while I prepared for the biggest test of my career. April 3rd, 2009, my college dorm, me walking to class, young, 20 years old, the year everything changed. The first photo, day one of his vigil. I turned off the camera, put it down, and I screamed in my car, in the parking lot of Dad's office building, screamed until my throat was raw, because my father had spent 15 years watching me through a camera lens, recording my life, collecting moments, being a father the only way he could, from a distance, through glass, behind a zoom lens. If you're listening to this and you have a parent you haven't called, call them right now. Don't wait. Don't assume you have time, because my father waited 15 years for me to be ready, and he died before I ever was. I drove home, showed Michael everything, the notebooks, the photos, the letter. He sat on our couch, reading Dad's final entry, the one from March 3rd. Emily, did you know he was doing this? No. I thought he'd moved on. I thought he didn't care. Why did you stop talking to him? I'd never really explained it, not fully, not even to Michael. When I was 20, my parents divorced. It destroyed me. My dad was my hero. And then he was just gone, living in a different apartment, starting over. And every time I saw him, it reminded me of what we'd lost, of the family we'd been. So I asked for space, told him I needed time. And he gave it to you. He gave me 15 years. I never called, never reached out. I just assumed if he wanted to talk to me, he would. But he was waiting for me to be ready, and I never was. Michael looked at the photos. He watched Jake grow up through a camera. Never met him, never held him, just watched. I know. Emily, Jake doesn't have a grandfather. My dad died before he was born. Your dad was alive this whole time, and Jake never knew him because you asked for space 15 years ago and never took it back. The words hit like a fist. I know, I'm not blaming you, but Emily, your son missed having a grandfather, and your father missed having a grandson, because neither of you knew the other wanted that connection. I couldn't argue, because he was right. Jake came into the room, 7 years old, curious. Mom, why are you crying? I wiped my eyes. Come here, buddy. He climbed onto my lap. Jake, I need to tell you about your grandfather. My dad. You have a dad? I did. He died 2 months ago. Why didn't I meet him? How do you explain this to a 7-year-old? Because I made a mistake a long time ago. I thought he didn't want to be part of our lives, but I was wrong. He did. He loved us. He just didn't think we wanted him. I showed Jake the photos, the ones of him and me. Christmas morning, first day of kindergarten, birthday parties. Grandpa took these? Yes, he was there at all these moments. You just didn't see him. Why didn't he come inside? Because I told him I needed space a long time ago, and he respected that, even though it hurt him. Jake looked at the photos, touched the screen. He looks nice. He was the best dad, and he would have been the best grandpa. I wish I met him. Me too, buddy. Me too. After Jake went to bed, I did something I'd been avoiding. I went to my office parking garage, level 2, visitor section. Found the spot where Dad had parked for 15 years. Pulled his Camry into the exact space. Sat in the driver's seat where he'd sat 5,478 times. Looked at my office building, the entrance, the windows. From here, Dad could see people coming and going, could see me when I left for lunch, when I came back, when I went home. This was his view every day. For 15 years, I picked up one of his notebooks. The most recent one, read random entries, day 4,856. Emily wore her hair up today. She used to do that when she was in high school, before big tests, before important events. Something big must be happening. I hope it goes well. Day 5,012, saw Emily carrying a box to her car, moving offices maybe, or just reorganizing. She looked happy about it, smiled to herself. That's all I need, to see her smile. Day 5,201, it's raining. Emily didn't have an umbrella. She ran from the building to her car, got soaked, laughed about it. I could hear her laughing, even from here. I haven't heard her laugh in 15 years. It's the most beautiful sound. Every entry, every observation, a father trying to know his daughter from 100 feet away. I found a different section, near the back of the notebook. A list. Things I wish I could tell Emily. 1, I'm proud of you, so incredibly proud. 2, you look just like your mother. Beautiful. 3, Jake is lucky to have you as a mom. 4, I'm sorry for whatever I did that made you need space. 5, I forgive you for needing that space. I understand. 6, I miss you. Every single day. 7, I love you more than you'll ever know. 8, I was there at every important moment, you just didn't see me. 9, I'm sorry I couldn't be the father you needed. 10, thank you for being my daughter. Best thing I ever did. 10 things he wished he could tell me, and now he never could. I put my head on the steering wheel, in the same spot where Dad had rested his head 5,478 times, and I cried for the father I'd lost twice, for the grandfather Jake never knew, for the 15 years we'd wasted. My phone rang, unknown number. I answered, hello, is this Emily Harrison? Yes, this is Officer Jennifer Matthews, Portland PD. I'm calling because we found something in our records related to your father, Robert Harrison. My stomach dropped. What is it? We've had several reports over the past few years. Concerned citizens calling in about a man sitting in a car in the parking garage at 500 Broadway, your office building. They thought it was suspicious, possible stalking. Oh God. We ran the plates, found out it was Robert Harrison. We approached him multiple times, asked what he was doing. He always said the same thing, watching my daughter, making sure she's safe. We asked if you knew he was there. He said no, said you'd asked for space, and he was respecting that. You talked to him 3 times, 2019, 2021, 2023. Each time we told him he needed to leave, that this was concerning behavior. He'd leave for the day, then come back the next day. Did you arrest him? No, because technically he wasn't breaking any law. Public parking. He wasn't approaching you, wasn't threatening, just watching. So we documented it and let him go. Why are you calling me now? Because after he died, I saw the obituary, put it together, and I wanted you to know your father loved you. I've been a cop for 20 years. I've seen stalkers, obsessive behavior, dangerous people. Your father wasn't any of those things. He was just a sad man who missed his daughter, and he sat in that car every day because it was the only way he could be close to you. Thank you for telling me. Miss Harrison, one more thing. The last time we talked to him, 2023, I asked him, why don't you just call her? Tell her you miss her. You know what he said? What? He said, because she asked for space, and I love her too much to take that away from her, even if it kills me. And then he cried, sitting in his car, a grown man, crying, because he missed his daughter. She paused. I have a daughter. If she asked for space, I don't know if I could give it to her. Your father did for 15 years. That's love, real love. I thanked her, hung up, sat in Dad's car, in his spot, and I understood. This wasn't obsession. This wasn't stalking. This wasn't unhealthy. This was a father loving his daughter the only way she'd let him, from a distance, through binoculars, with a camera and notebooks. Because I'd asked for space, and he'd given it to me while still being my father the only way he could. I found one more thing in the car, under the passenger seat, a stuffed animal, a small brown bear, worn old. I recognized it immediately. Mr. Bear, my childhood stuffed animal. I'd had him from age 3 to age 10, thought I'd lost him when we moved houses. But Dad had kept him all these years. There was a note tied to his paw. Emily's bear, from when she was little, she used to carry him everywhere, said he made her feel safe. I kept him in case she ever needed to feel safe again, in case she ever came back. I held Mr. Bear, pressed him to my chest, and I broke, completely shattered, because my father had been waiting for 15 years with my childhood stuffed animal, hoping I'd come back to him. And I never did. I stayed in that parking spot for 3 hours. Same amount of time Dad would stay. Watched people come and go. Watched the building. Saw my colleagues leaving for the day. Tried to see what Dad saw. Tried to understand how he'd done this every day for 15 years. And I realized love. Love made him do this. Love kept him coming back. Love sat in this car through rain and snow and heat and cold. Love watched me grow up from a distance. Love took thousands of photos. Love wrote in notebooks. Love respected boundaries, even when it destroyed him. Love waited patiently, hopefully, for 15 years. Love that I'd never acknowledged, never returned, never even knew existed. My phone buzzed. Text from Michael. Come home when you're ready. Jake keeps asking about Grandpa. He wants to know more. I drove home, brought the notebooks, the photos, the bear. Jake was waiting. Mom, can you tell me more about Grandpa? I sat with him, showed him the notebooks, read him some entries, the appropriate ones, the ones about Jake. Grandpa wrote about me every time he saw you, which was a lot. He watched you grow up. He did. I showed him photos. Jake at kindergarten, Jake at birthday parties, Jake and me together. Grandpa took these. Yes, he was there, always there. You just didn't know it. Jake was quiet, processing. Then, Mom, why didn't you want Grandpa around? The question broke me because I was hurt and angry and I made a mistake, a really big mistake. I asked for space and Grandpa gave it to me, but I never took it back, never told him I was ready, and now he's gone. Are you sad? Yes, very sad. Because you miss him? Because I never got to tell him I'm sorry, that I loved him, that I wanted him back. Jake hugged me. I think he knew, Mom. I think Grandpa knew you loved him. How do you know? Because he kept watching you. If he thought you didn't love him, he would have stopped. But he didn't. He came every day. That means he believed you'd come back. Out of the mouths of children. Maybe Jake was right. Maybe Dad had kept coming because he had hope, because he believed someday I'd be ready. He just ran out of time before I ran out of space. I made a decision that night. I wasn't going to let Dad's vigil end with his death. I was going to honor it, make it mean something. The next day, I went to his parking spot, brought flowers, placed them where his car used to be, put up a small plaque, temporary, until I figured out something permanent. Robert Harrison, 2009 to 2024. A father who loved from a distance. 5,478 days. Never missed, never forgotten. My coworkers noticed, asked about it. I told them the truth. My father had parked here for 15 years, watching me, because I'd asked for space and he'd respected it, but he'd never stopped being my father. Some of them cried, some hugged me, all of them understood. One colleague, an older man named Tom, pulled me aside. Emily, I did the same thing. My son and I had a falling out 10 years ago. He asked for space. I gave it to him, but I'd drive by his house sometimes, just to see his lights on, to know he was okay. He died last year. Car accident. We never reconciled. I'm sorry. Don't be. Just learn from it. Don't let anyone else make the same mistake. If you love someone, tell them, even if they asked for space. Even if it's been years, tell them. I took his advice. That night, I wrote letters to people I'd lost touch with, people I'd let drift away, friends, family, distant relatives. I'm sorry we lost touch. I think about you. I hope you're well. I'd love to reconnect if you're open to it. Sent 10 letters, got 7 responses. 3 wanted to reconnect. 3 relationships restored because I'd learned from Dad's mistake and mine. Don't wait. Don't assume people know you care. Tell them now, while there's still time. I met with Dad's lawyer 2 weeks later. Richard Webb, estate attorney. Older man, professional, kind. Miss Harrison, your father's estate is straightforward. He left everything to you and your son Jake, the apartment lease, his savings, his car, and this. He handed me an envelope, sealed, my name on it in Dad's handwriting. To Emily, ride before you see the will. I opened it. Emily, by the time you read this, you've probably found the notebooks, the photos. You know what I've been doing for 15 years. I'm sorry if it scared you, if it seemed obsessive or wrong. That was never my intention. I just needed to be your father, and since you needed space, this was the only way I could do it. I'm leaving you everything I have. It's not much, about $47,000 in savings. The car, some personal items. The money is for Jake, for college, for his future. I never got to be his grandfather in life, but maybe I can help him in death. I also want you to know I forgive you for needing space, for not calling, for all of it. You were hurt. You were processing. You were protecting yourself. And I respect that. I always have. Please don't carry guilt about this. Please don't blame yourself. You gave me a gift, Emily. 15 years of watching you thrive. 15 years of seeing you become an incredible woman, an amazing mother, a successful lawyer. I got to witness your life, even from a distance. That's more than some fathers get. Use the money for Jake. Live well. Be happy. And maybe sometimes when you think of me, don't think of the distance. Think of the parking lot. Think of how I showed up every day for 15 years. Because that's love, sweetheart. Real love. Not the kind that demands presence, but the kind that respects absence while still showing up. I love you. My little girl, always. Dad. Richard cleared his throat. Your father updated this will every year, same instructions. Everything to you and Jake. But the letter, he rewrote that letter dozens of times over the years. This final version is from January, 2 months before he died. Did you know about the parking lot? Yes, he told me, asked if it was legal. I said technically yes, but Emily, I also told him he should reach out, just call you, text you, something. He said she'll call when she's ready. I'm just making sure she's safe until then. He really believed I'd call. He had faith in you, in your relationship. He believed someday you'd come back to him. He just ran out of time. I took the documents, the will, the bank statements, the deed to his car, $47,000, saved over 15 years, while living in a studio apartment, eating PB&J, driving an old car. Money for a grandson he'd never held. That night, I told Jake about the inheritance. Grandpa left money for your college, for your future. He did? Yes. He wanted to help you even though he never got to meet you. Jake was quiet. Then, Mom, can I do my school project about Grandpa? What school project? Family history. We have to interview someone in our family, tell their story. I want to tell Grandpa's story. Jake, that might be sad. I want people to know about him, about how he loved us even when we didn't know. How do you say no to that? Okay, let's do it together. We spent the next week preparing. I showed Jake the notebooks, read him appropriate entries, showed him photos. Jake picked his favorite photo, me and him, Christmas morning, taken through our window. This one, because Grandpa was outside, and we were inside, but he was still there. Jake's presentation was scheduled for Friday. I took the afternoon off, sat in the back of his classroom, watched my 7-year-old son stand in front of his class and talk about a grandfather he'd never met. My grandpa's name was Robert Harrison. He died before I was born. Before I could meet him. but he knew about me. He watched me grow up. Jake showed the photo, explained it. Grandpa couldn't be with us, but he was there every day for 15 years. He sat in a parking lot and watched my mom go to work. He took pictures. He wrote in notebooks. He made sure we were safe. One kid raised his hand. Why couldn't he just come inside? Jake looked at me. I'd prepared him for this question because my mom asked for space when she was young, and Grandpa respected that. Even though it was hard, even though he missed her, he gave her the space she needed. That's sad. Yeah, but it's also love, real love, because love means respecting what people need, even when it hurts. Another kid, do you miss him? I can't miss someone I never met, but I'm sad I didn't get to know him because he sounds like he was a really good grandpa. The teacher, Mrs. Patterson, was wiping her eyes. After class, she pulled me aside. Emily, that was the most moving presentation I've ever seen. Jake told a story about love and sacrifice that most adults don't understand. You should be proud. It was his idea. Well, he has an old soul and a grandfather who clearly loved him very much. That night, I made another decision. I wasn't going to let Dad's story end with us. I was going to help other families avoid what we went through. I called it the Robert Harrison Reconnection Fund, a nonprofit dedicated to helping estranged families reconnect, providing mediation, therapy, support. I used Dad's $47,000 to start it, set up a website, reached out to family therapists, mediators, counselors. The mission statement: for families separated by distance, hurt, or time, for parents watching from afar, for children who asked for space and forgot to take it back, we help families find their way back to each other before it's too late. We launched in June, 3 months after Dad died. The response was overwhelming. Within a week, 50 families reached out, parents estranged from children, siblings who hadn't spoken in years, grandparents who'd never met grandchildren. All of them carrying the same pain, the same regret, the same hope that maybe it wasn't too late. Our first success story was a mother and daughter, estranged for 8 years. Daughter had asked for space after a fight. Mother had respected it. Neither had reached out since. We provided mediation, a neutral space, a trained counselor. They met, talked, cried, reconnected. At the end of the session, the daughter said, "I didn't think you'd want to see me. I thought you'd moved on." The mother said, "I've been waiting 8 years for you to be ready. I never moved on. I've been here the whole time." Just like Dad, waiting, hoping, never moving on. We helped 12 families reconnect in the first month. By the end of the year, over 100. Each one a small victory against the silence, against the distance, against the regret. I visited Dad's parking spot every week, brought flowers, sat in his car, talked to him, told him about Jake's project, about the foundation, about the families we were helping. "Dad, we're doing it. We're making your story matter. We're helping people not make the same mistakes we did." I'd sit there for an hour, same amount of time he'd sit, looking at my office building, trying to feel what he felt. The longing, the love, the patience. 3 months after launching the foundation, I got a call. "Miss Harrison, this is David Chen. You don't know me, but I saw your foundation online, and I need to tell you something." "Okay, I'm a security guard. I worked at your building for 10 years. I saw your father every day sitting in that car. You knew about him?" Everyone who works security knew. We'd do our rounds, see him there, same car, same spot, for years. At first we thought it was suspicious, ran his plates, approached him. He told us he was watching his daughter, making sure she was safe. The police told me they'd talk to him. Yeah, but after they cleared him, we left him alone. Some of the guards would wave to him. He'd wave back. We all knew his story. The daughter who needed space, the father who respected it. "Why are you calling?" "Because your foundation, what you're doing. Your father would be so proud. I wanted you to know we all respected him. He wasn't creepy. He wasn't a stalker. He was just a dad who loved his daughter. And we understood that." Thank you. One more thing. Last year, December, it was snowing. Your father's car wouldn't start. We saw him trying to jump it. It was freezing. We went out, helped him, got his car running. You helped him? Yeah, and while we were working on the car, I asked him, Bob, why don't you just go inside, talk to your daughter? It's been years. You know what he said? What? He said because the last thing she said to me was that she needed space. And until she tells me she doesn't need space anymore, I'm going to respect that, even if it's been 15 years. Even if it's another 15 years. I'll wait. David's voice cracked. Your father was one of the most patient, loving people I've ever met, and I just wanted you to know that I thanked him, hung up, and I realized something. Dad hadn't been alone, not completely. The security guards had seen him, known him, respected him. He'd had witnesses to his vigil, people who understood what he was doing, who helped him when his car broke down, who waved to him. Small kindnesses, small connections in the midst of his loneliness. I reached out to the building management, asked if I could do something permanent. They agreed. In the parking garage, level 2, visitor section, the spot where Dad had parked for 5,478 days, I installed a memorial plaque, bronze, professional, permanent, in memory of Robert Harrison. 2009 to 2024. For 15 years, a father sat in this spot, watching over his daughter, respecting her boundaries, never missing a day. This is what love looks like. Patient, selfless, unwavering. May we all love this faithfully, and may we all reconcile before it's too late. Below the plaque, a bench, so people could sit, rest, reflect. The building manager called it the Watcher's Memorial. My coworkers started sitting there during lunch, taking breaks, reading. It became a place of quiet reflection, a reminder to call your parents, check on your loved ones. Don't let distance become permanent. People would leave flowers, notes, photos of their own estranged family members. It became a shrine to complicated love, to families broken, and families healing. 6 months after Dad died, I brought Jake to the memorial. This is where Grandpa sat for 15 years. Jake looked at the plaque. Read it slowly. That's a long time. Yes, it is. Did Grandpa get tired? Probably. But he kept coming anyway. Because he loved you. Yes. Jake sat on the bench, looked at my office building. Mom, do you think Grandpa is happy now? What do you mean? Like in heaven or wherever? Do you think he's happy? Or is he still sad that you didn't call? I sat beside him. I think he's proud. I think he sees what we're doing. The foundation, the memorial, you telling his story. And I think he knows we understand now. Understand what? That love doesn't always look like what we expect. Sometimes love is distance. Sometimes love is waiting. Sometimes love is giving someone space even when you desperately want to be close. Jake leaned against me. I wish I met him. Me too, buddy. But I know him from the notebooks, from the pictures, from the stories. You do. And, Mom? Yes? I'm never going to ask you for space, okay? Because I don't want you to have to wait in a parking lot for me. I hugged him tight. Deal. If you're still listening to this story, I need you to do something right now. Pause this video, call someone you've been meaning to call, a parent, a sibling, a friend, someone you've drifted from, someone you've asked for space from, someone you've been meaning to reach out to. Call them right now. Before you forget, before life gets in the way, before 15 years pass and you're sitting at a memorial wishing you'd done it sooner. 1 year after Dad died, the foundation had helped over 300 families reconnect. 300 families who didn't have to learn the hard way, who didn't have to wait until it was too late. Each reunion felt like a small redemption, a piece of my guilt transformed into something useful. I couldn't bring Dad back, couldn't give him the 15 years we lost, couldn't let him meet Jake, couldn't tell him I'm sorry, but I could make sure other families didn't make the same mistake. I could turn his vigil into a legacy, his patience into a lesson, his love into a movement. On the first anniversary of his death, I held a ceremony at the memorial. Small gathering. Family, friends, Coworkers, security guards who'd known Dad. I read from his notebooks, shared his story, talked about what he'd taught me. My father showed me that love isn't always proximity. Sometimes love is distance. Sometimes love is watching from afar. Sometimes love is giving someone everything they ask for, even when it destroys you. He sat in a parking lot for 15 years, 5,478 days. Never missed, never complained, never stopped. Because that's what fathers do. Real fathers. They show up even when their children don't want them to. Even when it hurts. Even when nobody's watching. Except people were watching. Security guards, police, strangers. They all saw my father. They all understood what he was doing. And now I'm asking all of you to see the people in your life who are watching from afar. The parents who are respecting your boundaries. The siblings who are giving you space. The friends who are waiting for you to be ready. See them, acknowledge them, and if you're ready, call them back before it's too late. After the ceremony, a woman approached me, elderly, 70-something. Emily, I'm Margaret. I worked with your father. I remember you gave me his album. Yes, but there's something else. Something I didn't tell you. What? Your father and I had coffee once. Maybe 5 years ago. He was having a hard day. I could tell. So I invited him for coffee after work. We talked.
What did he say?
He told me about you, about the parking lot, about how much he missed you. And I asked him, Bob, why don't you just move on? Find a girlfriend, make new friends, build a life that doesn't revolve around watching someone who doesn't want to see you?
What did he say?
He said, because she's my daughter, and daughters don't get replaced, they get waited for, and I'll wait as long as it takes, because that's what fathers do. They wait even when nobody's coming back. Margaret wiped her eyes. But you did come back, Emily, not in time for him to know it. But you came back, you found him, you understood him, you honored him, and that's all any father could ever want. I hugged her, this stranger who'd shown my father kindness when he needed it most. That night, I did something I'd been planning for months. I went to the parking spot, alone, at night, brought Dad's camera, the one with all the photos, set it up on a tripod, pointed it at my office building, the same angle Dad had used for 15 years, and I took a photo, not of me, not of Jake, just the building, empty, dark, quiet, the view Dad had seen 5,478 times. I looked at the photo later, tried to see what he'd seen, tried to feel what he'd felt, and I understood he wasn't watching a building. He was watching a life, my life, happening inside. Every time I walked out those doors, I was proof that he'd succeeded. Proof that his daughter was thriving, safe, happy. That was enough for him. Just knowing I was okay. That's love. Selfless, patient, unwavering love. I saved that photo, printed it, framed it, hung it in my office, right next to Dad's photo, the one from his desk at work. Now, every day when I go to work, I see him, see the man who watched over me for 15 years. And I remember to call people, remember to reconnect, remember that distance isn't permanent unless we make it permanent. 2 years after Dad died, Jake turned 9. We had a birthday party. Big one. Friends, family, cake. In the middle of the party, Jake pulled me aside. Mom, I have something to tell you. What's up, buddy? I've been talking to Grandpa. My heart stopped. What do you mean? Not like talking, but like I go to the memorial sometimes, after school, and I sit on the bench and I tell him about my day, about school, about baseball, about life. You do? Yeah, and I know he can't answer, but I feel like he's listening, like he's there. Jake, that's beautiful. I think he would have been a good grandpa. I think he would have come to my baseball games and helped me with homework and taught me stuff. He would have. He definitely would have. But Mom? Yeah? Even though I never met him, I still love him. Is that weird? I knelt down, looked my son in the eyes. No, buddy, that's not weird. That's exactly what Grandpa would have wanted, for you to love him, even though you never met him, because that's what he did. He loved you before he ever met you, before you were even born. He loved the idea of you, the possibility of you. Really? Really? And now you're doing the same thing, loving someone you can't see, someone who's gone, but loving them anyway. Like Grandpa loved you from the parking lot. Exactly like that. Jake hugged me. I wish he was here. Me too. Every single day. My name is Emily Harrison. I'm 37 years old. I'm an estate attorney, a wife, a mother, and I'm the daughter of Robert Harrison, a man who loved me from a parking lot for 15 years. I didn't know. I didn't see it. I didn't understand it until it was too late. But I'm making sure his story doesn't end with regret. I'm making sure other families reconnect before it's too late. I'm making sure his vigil, his patient, faithful, unwavering vigil means something. If you're listening to this and you have someone you've been meaning to call, someone you've asked for space from, someone who's waiting for you to be ready,
Call them today, right now.
don't wait 15 years. Don't wait until you're going through their belongings and finding notebooks that prove they never stopped loving you. Do it now while there's still time, while they're still sitting in their version of a parking lot waiting for you to come back. My father waited 5,478 days. He died on day 5,478, one day short of never seeing me again. Don't let that be your story. Call them. Subscribe to The Quiet Reckoning if this story changed you. We tell stories about love you didn't see until it was too late, about sacrifice that happened in silence, about people who loved from a distance, because those stories need to be told. And those people need to be remembered. My father was Robert Harrison. He was a watcher, a note taker, a photographer. He was a man who sat in a car for 15 years because his daughter needed space. And he was the best father I never knew I had until it was too late. Don't let it be too late for you.